Hello everyone, it's your guy, the Urban Window Farmer. In today's episode, I'm going to show you guys the other side of the tower. For the most part of my videos, I've been focusing on the western portion of the tower, the side of the tower that's closest to the house. Using this telescoping arm, I'm able to show you guys the eastern portion of the tower. And as you can tell, this part of the tower thrives even more than the western portion. And this is mostly due to the fact that this portion of the tower gets unobstructed light in the morning. Alright, let's get started. Starting off with the newer tower. So in this portion of the tower, you can see that I've planted several kinds of brassica plants. And these plants are all competing for light. And it seems like the collard greens are, for the most part, winning. They have the largest leaves, and they're able to block out light from the other plants. So the collard greens are the more dominant plant. Then I would say the kale plants are the second most dominant plant. And then I had other plants in there as well. Several different varieties of kale. There's broccoli in there as well. But in a competition for light, usually the winner takes all. As I wrap around the tower, you can see the kale plants much more clearly. That is a lacinato variety of kale. And at the top, you can see some leaves for a pepper plant. So I'm curious what pepper plant that is, because it looks like it's doing quite well. It's going to be a little bit hard to harvest it, but we will see. Okay, I'm going to wrap around to the front portion, or the eastern portion of the tower. At the top right, there's a celery plant, and right below it, here's a cabbage plant. The variety of the cabbage is Copenhagen, and there's another one to the left of it. This side of the tower is dominated by white leaf kale, collard greens, and broccoli. This sunflower plant's at an advantage because it's tall enough to stretch above the canopy. Other plants were shaded by the brassicas, but the sunflower was able to thrive. In the middle, between the two towers, there's a field of tomato plants. I planted a few different varieties of tomatoes, and I planted them at the very bottom of the tower so they would have space to grow and not shade other plants. I have a few different varieties of tomato plants. One is Roma, the other one is Black Prince, but I don't think I want to keep them on the deck right here. I'm probably going to come up with a solution to hang them, probably similar to what I used with my parents' tower, as you can see here. I just use yarn to suspend the tomato plants, and I tied the yarn to the tower, the top portion of the tower. So I'll probably do the same thing with my tower as well. In this shot, you can see the second Copenhagen cabbage plant starting to develop. Alright, swinging over to the other tower. This tower is 2 weeks more mature than the other tower. And as you can see, there are some pretty large broccoli plants near the bottom and middle of the tower. At the very top, you can see that red kale plant. And that takes up a good portion of the top of the tower. If you look at the bottom left, here's a better shot of it. If you look at the bottom left there, you can see some peppers coming out of the tower there. That is the largest of all of my pepper plants. And if you look there, you will see a rainbow Swiss chard plant. So have a look at the very back of the tower. Mostly you're going to see broccoli plants, and there's one pretty good size collard green plant as well. On the left side of the tower, I have this green Swiss chard, and if you look closely, there is a ladybug protecting the tower, eating up all of the aphids, or potential aphids that would attack the plants. Then I have another sunflower here, as you can see. It's not quite ready to flower, but it should be soon. And then there's another rainbow Swiss chard plant. And then if you look to the right of that, there is this kohlrabi plant, which I think is just about ready to harvest. It's a pretty good sized kohlrabi. I plan to harvest this kohlrabi plant probably this weekend. And kohlrabi is, you can cut it up into small pieces, and it makes a pretty good salad. So here's a pretty good look at the more mature tower. You can see from the bottom there's peppers, collard greens, broccoli. Towards the top and to the top right there's a purple kale plant. And if you look at the less mature tower, you can see collard greens to the bottom left, and then in the bottom right there's a white kale plant. And at the top you'll see the Copenhagen cabbage, and then you'll see the celery plant. So that's all for this week's episode. This week I just wanted to show you guys the other side of the tower, the more neglected part of the tower. If you have any questions or comments for me, please leave them in the comments section and I'll respond to them as quickly as possible. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Stay safe and happy gardening.